Chauthaiwale, in charge of Foreign Affairs, visit India, His Excellency, Ambassador of India to Nepal, former Deputy Prime Minister, former Speaker of Parliament, former ministers, former head of the different constitutional bodies, and former MPs and sitting MPs, and all distinguished guests and colleagues from media. I would like to just give introductory remarks so that we can have a fruitful discussion today. Nepal and India are closely connected because of the proximity of religion, culture, language, people, and geography since ages, which can be traced from the time when the ancient king Bharat, who came to the bank of Gandaki river to meditate for peace. There are many unconventional but stable relationships between peoples, society, private sector, and institutions between the two countries. The religion, culture, and historical bonds between two sovereign nations cannot be explained and framed only by formal agreements and treaties, as well as government-to-government level contacts only. There are many important dimensions of relationship outside the purview of formal ones. Open border, family links, informal economic and trade relationships among the peoples, especially living on both sides of the border, are historical and traditional. Whether in struggle for institutionalization of democracy or developing infrastructure, human resources, or supporting in difficult time of natural calamities, Nepal has always been receiving overwhelming support from its closest neighbor, India. Nepali people have also significantly contributed through active participation in the freedom struggle of India, as well as other various sectors in India. In recent times, there have been several high-level visits in Nepal and India. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has very successful official visit to Nepal in 2014, followed by 2 more successful visits. After 2014, Prime Minister Sri K.P. Sharma Oli and former Prime Minister Sri Sherbahadur Deuba both had also fruitful visits to India. In these visits, many bilateral agreements and understandings were made, and some game-changing development initiatives have already been initiated and some are already implemented. Collaboration and free trade in energy has given more emphasis when late Prime Minister Sri Sushil Koirala and Prime Minister Modi signed historic power development agreement PDA of Arun 3rd and Upper Karnali, each of 900 megawatt, so far the largest hydropower project in Nepal. Arun 3rd is already under construction and Upper Karnali is still in preparation phase. To manage seasonal load shedding, India augmented power supply in dry season, and Nepal is reciprocating by injecting extra energy to Indian power supply system during wet season, which has paved the way for energy banking. Power trade agreement has opened the doors to Indian power market and beyond, increase the prospect for future investment, boost economy and job creation in the region. Cross-border transmission lines are being expanded with high priority. Similarly, the recent completed 69-kilometer petroleum pipeline linking Motihari in India and Amlikganj in Nepal has enhanced the fuel supply reliability in Nepal. Thinner border and seamless connectivity by road, rail, and river between both neighbors will pave the way for huge economic opportunities and investment in the region. Railway connectivity between Kathmandu and Tarai Madhesh, connecting Indian cities with Nepali cities, will reduce unit costs of production and transport and promote religious and tourism activities in both countries as well. Prime Minister Modi has brought the attention of many crores of Indians as well as Hindus all over the world on the importance of sacred pilgrims like Muktinath, Janakpur, and Pashupatinath. India's cooperation in rescue, rehabilitation, and rebuild after the natural disaster and earthquake in Nepal is commendable. PM Modi's prompt decision during earthquake 2015 was remarkable. Nepal has also been receiving significant amount of grant and soft loans for reconstruction and also to invest in other infrastructure like postal road, north-south road, etc., which are essential to fill the gap in infrastructure in Nepal. Nepal can also learn and adapt modality of successful programs on social innovation, like Aadhaar, employment guarantee, health insurance, etc. Similarly, Nepal can learn from India's policy reform in industrial sector, renewable energy sector to boost both foreign and domestic investment, so that decent employment and self-employment opportunities could be created for more than 500 million Nepali workers who enter every year into the labor market. Nepal can also take advantage of Make in India, Skill in India, Digital in India, and many other initiatives that are being implemented in India. There are many challenges as well. Most challenging issue in bilateral collaboration is inundation of plain areas of bordering region of both countries. Many lives and property have been lost in Tarai, Madhesh and Bihar every year. Despite forming many technical committees and their technical recommendation, both countries are still struggling to save the lives and properties of the people living in both countries. Finding amicable and sustainable solutions for the inundation problem in the most challenging task is still left in bilateral collaboration. Protecting the regional commons is our duty. Snow melting and reduced ice mass of Himalayas is a major threat for flood-induced glacier lake outburst, water shortage in Ganga Basin. Air pollution, water resources crisis, and degradation of shared environmental resources in the era of climate change are new alarming challenges to be addressed by both neighbors jointly. There is a huge prospect of investment in Nepal, especially for energy-intensive manufacturing sector. Apart from availability of hard-working labor force, least developed country benefits, abundant clean energy supply will also be available to the prospective investors. There is a huge scope in attracting wider investment from India with more financial cooperation leading to the shared production and augmented productivity in Nepal. Easing the cross-border transport, tariff and non-tariff barriers, and creating coherent policy environment and winning the confidence of investors are the challenging tasks for Nepal. The flow of investment will further help in cementing relationship with both countries. India can include policy reform and capacity building aspect into its cooperation program, apart from regular human resource development and scientific support, so that the capacity of decision makers and policy makers could be enhanced to carry out appropriate reforms to attract more investment in Nepal and also address the associated social and environmental problems. As 21st century is being cited as an Asian century, stable, peaceful and prosperous India in the form of world's largest democracy can contribute significantly to make South Asian region stable and prosperous in general, and bring Nepal-India relations to a historical height in particular. Given the age-old multifaceted relationship, availability of huge human capital, natural resources, both countries can resolve minor irritant for the sake of common prosperity. Political will can guide Nepal-India relation in a new era of friendship and economic engagement, which would ensure the realization of prosperity of peoples. Thank you.